Hey guys, we're going to talk a little bit today in the blog about vagus nerve stimulation. We're going to talk about the what, the why, and the how. Okay, why is it important? It's one of the most common things I get asked when I suggest this therapy to people when they come to see me in clinic. So, what is the vagus nerve really? Well, we've all got a vagus nerve within it. In fact, we have multiple branches. Within the brain, there are a series of nerves called cranial nerves. There are 12 paired cranial nerves, all doing various special sense functions, such as visual, auditory, and even olfactory senses. They also control the movements of the eyes, the tension in the jaw. And the 10th cranial nerve is the vagus nerve. So it is the one that essentially is the connection between the brain and the more reflexive areas of the brain and the gut. So whenever you hear this term gut-brain axis, the pathway that carries the signals from the gut back up to the brain is coming from the vagus nerve. So interesting thing about the vagus nerve is some nerves are only sending down, some nerves are only sending back up to the brain, so we call that efferent and afferent. The vagus nerve is 80 to 90% afferent. So that means 80 to 90% of its function is to receive signals from the gut. Because of this, it also has to be the longest nerve. So we have a vagus nerve right and a vagus nerve left, and we also have a front portion and a back portion, and they do slightly different functions. The back portion of the vagus nerve is considered more the vegetative portion of the vagus nerve, and that's the one that actually controls digestion and a lot of all these other homeostatic functions, such as sleep, wake, heart rate, breath rate. It doesn't control breath rate, but it modulates breath rate and the balance between this fight, flight, and rest and digest. So the vagus nerve is the primary component of this rest and digest system. And it's some other major roles, which is what makes it so important to work with in clinic, is why we do it is basically it controls the immune system. So the vagus nerve itself has a huge impact on how your innate immune system is working and how it's going to fight off pathogens and also stabilize itself with any threats. It also attenuates inflammation. So the anti-inflammatory nerve comes via the vagus nerve. So if the vagus nerve isn't functioning too well, you'll have a harder time naturally fighting off inflammation, because if things are working well, your body should be always knowing how to fight inflammation. So inflammation by itself, say if you injure yourself, is not a bad thing. You need to be inflamed. But if there's dysfunction in this pathway, because remember, its primary role is to receive information from the gut or the immune system or the lower areas. If that's not working too well, if the communication isn't so strong, what's going to happen is inflammation is going to stay on, and you're going to become systemically inflamed, and you're going to be in this more sort of neurodegenerative state. So this is key nerve for that. It also modulates the stress response. So it basically modulates everything, and the key one is it modulating the stress response. So going back to those front and back pathways, the back pathways is more homeostatic function, internal, digestion, all that sort of stuff. And then the front portion is the one that's really involved in the stress response. It's called the ventral vagal, and it's the one that, if it's working well, you're able to calm yourself down under stress. If you've got low vagal tone, your sympathetic fight-flight system will be running at a higher oscillation, and so therefore your body isn't getting enough time to heal itself. Another reason as to why, so the conditions that I've seen associated to low vagal tone are stress, anxiety, post-traumatic stress, depression, inflammation in general, strokes, chronic pain, chronic fatigue, Parkinson's, various other neurological conditions, leaky gut, small intestine bacterial overgrowth. Headaches and migraines are also a big one, but it can literally treat most things. If you're a human being, you could do with getting some vagus nerve stimulation. Okay, so that's some of the whys. Now, how would you do it? So in the clinic, if you come and see me here, or if you do work online as well, I do vagus nerve stimulation. So we use special ear clips and place them in the ear, and they essentially modulate electrically how this nerve is functioning. It's like a personal trainer for the nerve. It's completely safe. There's a lot of data, a lot of science out there for that, but that's not always for everyone. If you can't get in to see me or you can't organize it, there are other ways. Anytime we sing or hum or gargle, we actually stimulate the vagus nerve as well. If we expose ourselves to really cold water, we have a cold shower, that actually activates that rear portion of the vagus nerve, the dorsal vagal, which is always a good thing. So that's going to have a good impact on digestion. You can also do various manual techniques. In our certifications, teach practitioners how to do manual resets of vagus nerve. On some of my free videos on the Instagram channel and also even the YouTube channel, there are specific releases that I've got there. I've also done a course, a webinar on that. So if you want access to that, reach out, let me know, and I'll give you access to that. That will also be available on Teachable in the next month or so, once we get that sorted out. But yeah, basically common things that you would be looking at for vagus nerve stimulation would be, you know, those gut conditions. You might be seeing a really good sort of nutritional practitioner, but you're not getting the results. That's a sign that you've probably got low vagal tone, and we need to treat the brain to treat the gut. So it's not a be all and end all. However, I've seen absolutely crazy changes in all those conditions I mentioned before, including completely eradicating them and using vagus nerve stimulation both as a standalone, and also often if you come in here, it's not the only therapy we do. We combine it with all the other therapies that we do, which are functional neurology, sports kinesiology, mind-body medicine, neuromuscular therapy, and even movement therapy as well. We combine it with that, but it's just dependent on yourself. So a common scenario you might see, someone who's in a lot of pain, but they're also stressed, we might start with some vagus nerve stimulation to calm down the nervous system so it can take on the corrections that we're going to do. So that's my little blog today about vagus nerve stimulation. If you have any questions, you want to talk to me about it, just reach out, contact, and I'll look forward to hearing from you.